But speaking of people being wrong, Brett, what sort of crap have you been hearing about the Batman lately?
So this is anecdotally off Twitter, but we got a couple. The greatest cesspool on the internet.
Yeah.
So there's been a couple little revelations about the movie. So we do know that the runtime is clocking in at like 2 hours, I think, and 47 minutes, not including credits. Very specific.
Yeah.
So immediately we start getting all the people coming out. It's too long, it's too long, it's too long, it's too long. And listen, I didn't like look through their tweets to see if they said that about other movies, but
Yeah.
I just feel like you were probably okay with Endgame. You were probably okay with Infinity War. You were probably okay with a lot of these other 3-hour superhero movies.
Yeah.
And I just want to I don't want to spend a lot of time on it and like the negativity. It's just like the hot takes just aggravate me to no end. But it's just, if the movie is paced well and it's a good film, it's not going to feel like 3 hours. We know that. I've sat through so many 3-hour films. And listen, I've sat through ones that were not paced well, and you were like, okay, is it almost over? This movie's too long. I could think of a couple of Judd Apatow comedies that have overstayed their welcome, even though I do like him. But, then you look at something like, Endgame, which is like almost 3 hours, and that movie thrilled me from start to finish. So I think Spider-Man No Way Home was about 2.5 hours too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a long one.
Tremendous. It did not matter because they knew how to pace, they knew how to get the emotional roller coaster going, and when you're excited, man, that stuff flies. It really does. So I think everyone needs to just calm down about that. And then the other thing is, we just found out that the Batman's budget was around $100 million, which is like very small compared to obviously these Marvel films. And the first
and a lot of the early DCEU movies are over 200 mil. So that's
easy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just production budget and that doesn't include paying actors and stuff. But you look at some of these like Marvel films and it's like Endgame, like, well, you had to pay Mark Ruffalo, Scarlett Johansson, Robert Downey Jr. So I imagine Chris Evans. I mean, everybody. I imagine that inflated the budget a little bit. And one thing to look at is the Batman, for the most part, what we've seen from the trailers, I don't know. It's what we've only seen little snippets, but it seems to be mostly practical effects, not a lot of CG, and I think that keeps the cost down. But I see all these takes on there that it's only $100 million. They're not doing the character justice. It's not going to be a good film. Like, these ridiculous hot takes because the budget's low. It's like, maybe Reeves is just really good at managing costs and money, and which will make the studio very happy and means that the movie will make more profit. So even if for some reason that movie does not bring in the billions and billions that I'm sure Warner Brothers wants, it'll probably still turn a very hefty profit, which spells good news for possible sequels.
Absolutely,
which we know he's thinking about. They're focusing on this, but they do have an outline, and of course they announced like 40 spinoffs. So hopefully those actually come to fruition and don't end up like those announced movies that all went to development hell. But I just wanted to make a comment about that, like, cut it with the hot takes. You've seen a couple of trailers. Even if you don't like the suit, wait till you actually see it in action, and you can still not like it. That's fine. I'm not mad about anyone's opinions. Have your opinion, but wait till you see the film.
Yeah.
Stop with this. It's not because you know what? Listen, if they announced the runtime was shorter, then everyone would be complaining. Oh, it's only an hour and 45 minutes, and they announced all these characters in it. How are they going to do it justice? Panic, panic, panic.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it. It's. At this point, I'm like, I wonder if these are real people or they're just like AI bots that are just there to troll.
Yeah.
Because we do know those exist. They
do.
They read the algorithm and just troll everybody and get everyone fired up. But I can't believe these are real thoughts sometimes. Like, you take 1 second to step back and have a little common sense. So, $100 million budget. First of all, $100 million, still a lot of money.
Well, but on top of that, honestly, though, that just means that Matt Reeves understood the assignment, okay?
Yeah.
When he took the job in January of 2017, Warner was hemorrhaging money with these DCEU movies. Yeah. They were dropping so much money on Man of Steel and on BVS. They spent like north of $500 million on those two movies.
Yeah.
And when the box office returns weren't what they were expecting, one of the things that they were trying to do was cost cutting measures. We need to make these movies more affordable.
I'm sure that was part of the pitch from Reeves. Was like, I can make you a good Batman.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to make
only need this much money.
Exactly. Listen, the take I'm going to have is more grounded and realistic. Yeah. I can make it for $100 million, and we'll be off to the races.
Listen, so Batman doesn't have heat vision. He doesn't fly. No. Also, even just like a small little anecdote. People may not know this, but in the Snyder films, in a lot of the scenes, Superman and Batman's capes were actually CG.
Yeah.
That's money.
That's money.
This is all money, folks.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying I don't know everything about the production of this film, but everything I've seen so far, looks like he's wearing all full costume. He's got capes on. We've seen shots and behind the scene footage that have leaked out of like actual stunt drivers doing like a lot of the driving. It's not all CG, and I think the guy is just a professional. He knows how to do it. He knew, or like you said, he had a vision, and to make the vision happen, this is what he needs. So let's not all freak out.
and it also just going back to the thing about the running time, I actually think that it comes from righteous indignation about. There was a big backlash about Zack Snyder's Justice League being 4 hours, and then going back a little further. There was a whole ordeal about the fact that the original cut of Batman versus Superman was 3 hours long. But at the time, Warner Brothers was so hell-bent on getting things shorter that they chopped off a half hour, and the theatrical cut of BVS greatly suffered, right? And then you have the Joss Whedon cut of Justice League that had that mandate. It has to be under 2 hours. Right. And they made it an hour. Joss Whedon's like, here's an hour and 59 minutes. Like, just to, hammer the point home. All right, fine. You want it under 2 hours? There you go. So I think folks who loved the Snyderverse and the original DCEU, I think they're angry at that. Well, why does Matt Reeves get to make a 3 hour movie and everyone's celebrating? I think they're a little salty.
You know what I mean? A little bit of that crowd.
And on top of that too, a big part of the thing was the tone. Oh, BVS is so grim dark. Zack Snyder is so dark. Have you seen those Batman trailers? They look, pretty dark, pretty adult.
It's looking pretty heavy.
So I think it just looks like they're contradicting themselves. They look hypocritical when a few years ago they're like, it has to be lighthearted and it has to be under 2 hours. Right. And Matt Reeves is like, here's something that looks damn near rated R and grimdark, and I'm going to clock in at just about 3 hours. Right. So I think a lot of it has to do with that. Where just a couple years ago they were putting all these restrictions on Snyder and doing all this stuff to overhaul everything, and now all of that seemingly has gone out the window, and Matt Reeves got to do whatever he wanted. So I think people are a little pissed about that. Yeah. It is what it is.
Exactly. But it is what
at the end of the day, am I worried about a 2 hour and 50-minute movie? Absolutely not. Like you said,
I'll be worried when I see it if it's not good. Then I'll say, okay, listen, it did not need to be this long.
That's my only thing with long movies. I like long movies. I've seen plenty in the last 5-10 years. That does not deter me. What worries me though is if it is really kind of dark and a slog and not a very fun ride. Right. 3 hours can be a long time. Remember how long the 3 hours of the BVS Ultimate Cut, the Ultimate Edition feels. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just hope that he nailed it. I think he did. But whenever I hear 2 hours and 50 minutes, I just hope that they got the pacing right. They got the edit right. Because that could feel like 6 hours or it could feel like 2.
Listen,
so
it could be 6 hours of WrestleMania,
Wow, bringing it back.
If you're a long-time listener, that's a deep cut.
That's a deep cut to the Revengers. And one time when Brett came over to watch WrestleMania, and neither one of us was prepared for the fact that it was 6 hours.
And I'll tell you the pacing, not that great.
Not that great.
If the pacing was better, might not have hated 6 hours.